what it is, what's happening. Welcome back to the channel. Hello to the new peeps that joined the channel. So today I'm really, what am I going to talk about today? Well, I'm just kind of setting up stuff in the shop today, getting some stuff straightened out. My carpenter buddy was here yesterday and finished up the rafters in the shop. So now we'll be able to get the lift set up. It turned out really well. I'll be able to have 10-foot ceiling in here now. As you can see, that's how low it was before. Kind of hard to see with this stupid garage door. Now you can see behind me. Now if you look behind me, you can see my Toyota's right there. Now that Toyota's lifted, it's on 33s, and you can kind of see where the ceiling is there. Now you can see the ceiling is going to go all the way up there to those collar ties. So now I've got to finish running some wiring. That's kind of what I'm doing today. We cut out an access door here, and we did one on the other side so that I can have access to each side. And I'm going to put a plywood floor down in part of it just to store some junk up there. Going to try not to keep a lot of junk in this building like the old shop. Going to try to keep this one kind of simple because I do have another building over there. So I'm going to keep like tire machine, AC machine because it's on wheels, engine crane. So keep that crap over there. Try to keep this building open. Keep this whole side here open. So that way when I use the pipe bender, exhaust machine, whatever you want to call it, I've got room to move it around now and actually use it. I'm going to leave the brake lathe in here because I do kind of use that. I'm going to bring the press and put the press over there in that corner, and there's a countertop with a cabinet. I'm going to move that up into that corner and utilize that to put some stuff in. I've got tons and tons and tons of specialty tools, you know, ball joint tools and just a lot of equipment, you know, pullers and specialty tools that you use like maybe once or twice a year. I'm going to leave this countertop with these counters up here and put a lot of that crap in there because it's stuff you use, but you don't use it a whole lot. And I'm kind of getting down on what side work I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be picking and choosing what side work I do down here now versus the house up north. I was doing everything. Motors, transes, a lot of stuff. I'm getting out of a lot of that stuff. I'm what I call semi-retired. We're at the beach. Why not, right? Let me spin you around. I just brought home Reds last night. Glad to finally get Reds home. So spin you around. I'll show a couple things to the newcomers. I noticed there's some new guys that are actually interested in the tow trucks. I'll give you a quick tour real fast. When I talk about Reds, that's Reds. Reds is the most handiest piece of equipment that I have. And I call it a piece of equipment because I use it just like that. Reds may be a little ugly, and he's got a lot of junk on him. He's got some rust. But let me tell you, Reds is the most handiest thing that I own. I push stuff with it, pick stuff up, put things down. I mean, that's what Reds is for. It is the most handiest thing I ever bought. It's a Holmes 1200 Commander, twin line. You know, the boom comes all the way out. I use it as a crane, pick things up, put things down, push things in, push things out. It makes my life a lot easier. I'd really need to clean Reds off because he looks like a junkyard truck. But we did use this truck every day for the last couple weeks, moving, cutting junk up. Hell, there's still stuff laying on the back that's greasy. Yes, the Harley tank is what I use for a gas tank. The original tank, the way they had the filler neck mounted, it comes up level with the bed, and water was running into the tank and was having a major problem. That was actually how I bought the truck. Truck wouldn't run with the crap, and that was what was wrong with it. I think I'm going to put some rocker panels in them, fix that rust, because I've caught my pants on it, ripped a good pair of pants the other day. That's why it's got the tape on there. But we're going to get on this thing here probably within the next week or so. So this truck is a 1976 F350 Ranger XLT. So this truck has all of the ginger that you could get in 1976. It's got a Holmes 500 wrecker on it. It needs a little love, but at the end of the day, this isn't a rusty, clapped out old truck. The biggest problem was this truck just sat. This truck's got factory carpet, cloth seat. It's got the deluxe door panels. It's got AC. It's got 65,000 original miles on it. That box down there on the floor is the original magnet lights that you would use when you're towing a car in a Holmes toolbox, which that's kind of cool. You never find any of that crap. This thing's got a 390 in it, 4-barrel. Like I said, it's a factory air truck. And what's cool is I have the original title, which is about the size of an envelope. It's not a very big title. But what's cool is on the title, it has the tag number to the truck. I bought the truck out of New Jersey, and the truck has the original license plates that go to the original title. How cool is that? And like I said, it needs a little love, but it's not a rotted out piece of junk. It's actually a really nice, solid old truck. I'm going to repaint the bed, and I'm going to take the lettering off the doors, just because somebody else had started taking them off. I'm going to do some of the light bar, and I think I'm going to get rid of those two big lights at the very top of the boom up there. I think I'm going to get rid of them. And the reason being is I'd like to keep it in here, and to get it into the one side, as you can see how tall this one is, to keep two trucks inside this carport is going to be really tough. So if I get rid of those lights, it'll fit in here, and I'll be able to keep two of them. At least keep them. I'm not trying to keep them, inside, but keep them out of the direct rain and the direct sunlight. I mean, after all, they're only original ones. You see, I've got quite a things to do. There's the lift and the scissor lifts on the trailer. We're going to get that off the trailer today. And then, if you follow the channel, this is the other 76 Ford wrecker I have that I was working on up until we moved. This is the one that's getting the Crown Vic front suspension. This is the one that's, I'm pretty sure I'm still going to move forward with putting the 7.3 diesel IDI with a 5-speed in it. I put all new floors in this truck, cab supports, bushings, even these mounts here, took them all off because they're known to rust out real bad where the bushing goes. That's all been repaired. A lot of work's been done to this. So like I said, if you follow the channel, you'll know that the plan with this truck was to lower it, leave the truck ratty looking, paint my name on the door or something, and just kind of ride around and have fun with it. Take the car shows. I mean, you see all kinds of crazy stuff at car shows. You see utility trucks slammed, all kinds of stuff. Never see any tow trucks. So I thought, I'm going to build a tow truck. I'm going to go one step further. I'm going to put something in it that nobody ever puts in it. 7.3 IDI, diesel. Why not? Got plenty of them laying around. You could never get a diesel on one of these. So why not? Be kind of cool. So I'm thinking the truck's got a 410 gear. I'm thinking with the 5-speed, the IDI, and if I change the gear set to like I'm hoping for maybe 390 or 380s or something like that. Gear ratio, this thing ought to go on the turnpike and just be a cruiser. The plan is full-blown, I want a full custom interior in it. Carpet, headliner. I'm going to do a tan interior because I've got a really, really nice tan bench seat out of a 96 F-150, and it's got the armrest, really comfortable seat. So I'm going to do the rest of the interior in tan door panels, carpet, headliner, dash pad. The interior, when you open the doors up, you're going to go, wow, the interior is really nice, but the rest of this truck looks like it came out of a junkyard, and that's what I want. The bed on the truck is really nice. This was actually a low mileage truck as well. I think this truck had 70,000 original miles. Now, I bought it with no motor, no trans. The motor was gone. No, I'm sorry, trans was in it. Motor was gone. I have thought about putting a gas motor in it because I've got a couple gas motors that are together, but I still might just go with the diesel. I don't know yet. I got to get the Crown. Here's the thing. I got to get the Crown Vic suspension in it and then set the motor in it and see how it's going to all fit without chopping up a lot of stuff, because I really don't want to get into chopping up a lot of stuff. I did try to put the 7.3 in this truck before I decided to do the Crown Vic swap, and it just will not work. No matter what I did. In fact, I even notched the frame out here, but the biggest problem is the steering. The 7.3 is a rear sump pan. Everything that they use in these trucks were always front sump. I would have to either have the motor sit up really high for it to clear the steering box and the steering linkage, or I'd have to cut the oil pan out and redesign the oil pan. and it was just not going to work. It was going to be way more work. And then at the end of the day, I still got 1976 steering and brakes. That's when I came up with the idea, Crown Vic swap. Now I've got rack and pinion steering, independent front suspension, dual piston calipers, which actually this truck does have dual piston calipers, and actually it's a twin I-beam truck, so it's independent front suspension. And they don't ride too bad. But the Crown Vic would be cool because it's definitely going to get the truck in the weeds and still ride very well. With a nice heavy motor, it'll ride really nice. I think I'm going to take a bunch of leaf springs out of the back and change the spring hangers around to lower the rear of the truck. I think by doing that, it'll make the truck ride a lot better. No, I'm not going to cut all the stuff out and airbag it. I absolutely hate air ride. I know a lot of guys love it. I don't like it. It's not for me. So, and then I got this thing here, which I know somebody might ask about. 54 Dodge job-rated truck. It's got a small block Chevy in it that somebody started putting in about 30 years ago. It's got a Manley hand crank wrecker boom on the back. And that's actually what I really bought it for, was the wrecker. And I was going to put the wrecker body, well, wrecker boom, I guess you could say. I was going to mount this on something else. But the more I thought about it and the more I looked at it, and then the truck's got a cool story, I'm leaving it together. I'm going to leave the boom with the truck and make the truck run and drive. So the story I got with this truck was, this truck was actually used, the way you see it, to haul cars into a junkyard at a place called Mercer, PA. That's where I bought this thing from. They actually towed cars into the junkyard with this setup. Now, I'm going to assume, from just what little information I got on the truck, the guy that owned it passed away like 30 years ago. And I'm assuming, or I'm going to take a wild guess, that the motor must have went bad, and that's when they started putting a Chevrolet in it. And then he died, and the project never got completed. And I'm just taking bits and pieces and kind of assuming, because I only got a skeleton story of the truck. And supposedly the junkyard closed up years and years ago, and the family had the truck stored in some building, and they sold the building. The gentleman I bought the truck from, he only had it for about a year. And I kind of got the same story from the lady, because we had to actually go meet the lady to get the title done, because it was still in her name. And she said it was her husband's uncle's truck. And that's what she told me. They used it on the junkyard to haul stuff in, and he passed away. So I'm going to assume they were putting the small block Chevy in it then. Now, these trucks originally had a flathead 6-cylinder, and they were about as powerful as a lawnmower. So either they blew the motor up, or they were just trying to upgrade to something that would make it move. It does have a Chevrolet in it right now. And it's kind of crude. The mounts are all kind of, they made them. Actually, the mounts aren't that hateful. It's just everything was cut out with a torch, and they never cleaned any of it up. And I actually think I'm going to do a little changing on the mounts to make them a little bit better. But I think I'm just going to leave them kind of rough and crude like they were. I mean, realistically, if you think about it, truck was built on a junkyard. It was used to haul cars to a junkyard. They didn't have plasma cutters. They didn't have a plasma table. They didn't have MIG welders. They didn't have all that fancy equipment. It was done in the way of making it run, they didn't care what it looked like. It just needed to be functional. I mean, you look at some of these mounts, you can see these are all just cut out with a torch, every one of them. And they're just kind of, the welding on here is definitely not the best. But you got to remember, this thing was probably put together. This was probably put on this truck. Oh God, who knows? It could have been put on the truck in the early 70s. I have no idea. I really don't have an idea. I'm just going to take a stab and go, probably then. I mean, I'm 50 years old. I grew up in a shop. Then later on my dad got gas stations. And all we had back in the day when I got my license, we had a repair shop, we had lifts and stuff. But as far as like fabricating equipment, we had a torch, a grinder, and a stick welder. So I learned how to stick weld when I was probably 12 or 13 years old. So we didn't have all the fancy gadgets that they have today. These guys that watch these TV shows and, I'm a fabricator. Yeah, no, you know how to run a piece of equipment. You got every fancy piece of metal equipment known to man. Fabricator is a guy who takes a torch and a grinder and a fucking stick welder and makes something and makes it look pretty. That's a fabricator, in my opinion. In my opinion. Everybody has their own opinion, and I'm okay with it. But there was no fancy tools back then. So I plan to leave some of the crudeness to this truck. Now, these little angle iron brackets that are welded on here, I actually got pictures of this truck. It had a wooden bed that was made around this boom. The guy I bought it from had taken the bed off because it was all rotted out. I don't plan on putting a wooden bed back on. I'm just going to make some simple sides to it. Nothing fancy. Kind of simple how it would have been done 50 years ago. I'm going to change the rear in this truck. Maybe a GM 14 bolt or something along that lines. The only reason I'm thinking about that is, A, you can get all the brake parts a lot easier. Brake parts for this 54 dual rear wheel truck are almost impossible to find. And I'm sure the gear ratio in this thing is horrible. If I get a 14 bolt or even a Ford Sterling 10 ring gear, I can find, you know, decent gear so the truck doesn't scream going down the highway. I'm putting a small block Chevy in it with a turbo 350. That's it. So if I can get a decent gear ratio on this thing, you'll be able to at least drive it, you know, down the road like a normal vehicle. Front axle, I'm still not sure what to do with. I want to keep this look to the truck, so I want to keep these goofy wheels, but my problem is these are split rim. So I need to find a set of these goofy 6-lug wheels that are not split rim, so that I can put a radial on it or something. I don't know. I'm still looking around to see what I can do. Maybe even have the centers of these cut out and welded in a modern set of wheels. I don't know. I haven't crossed that hurdle yet. Figure that bridge out when I get to it, I guess. So that's just a few things that are going on around here, project-wise. I mean, this place is like Project Central. That's what I should rename it to, Project Central. But I just want to share a couple of things on the channel that I've got going on that I'm going to be diving into, along with some other stuff of mine. And like I said, I've got a few jobs that I got to do. This little Jeep out here, the frame rails are rotted out, so I've got to repair the frame rails on that thing. I'm going to do that after I get one of these lifts set up. I think I'm going to set the scissor lift up today over here where the Toyota is. But the girlfriend said something about running down to the beach, and I guess we're going to try to buy some beach tags today for the Toyota and the Bronco. Our tags expired the first of the year, so we got to go renew the tags so we can do the drive onto the beach. So that's probably going to be this afternoon's project. So, holla at your boy. Keeps it reals. Catch me on the next one.